Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise today to give my support to this statutory instrument brought before the House in the name of my right honourable friend, the member for Dumfriesshire, Clydesdale and Tweeddale. And it is vitally important, this SI, because it's about facilitating two twin areas of vital national interest. The need for us to continue to support the efficient development of cheap, clean energy generation, and the crying out loud need for us to double down on our efforts to stick to our target to hit our legally binding carbon reduction budgets. And Scotland, Madam Deputy Speaker, is playing a massive role in giving the UK a lead when it comes to clean energy in the G7, and that is not just something to take quiet satisfaction from, it is something to shout from the rooftops. And in short, Madam Deputy Speaker, that is why I wanted to say something specifically in support of this SI. Yes, it's an SI about a couple of technical amendments, but they point towards a couple of greater things which I feel need to be highlighted. The first is perhaps a little subtle, but it is significant. It is a political point, it's a constitutional point. The SNP in this place and elsewhere, in fact everywhere that they are given a platform or a microphone, will go on and on about how outrageous everything is, how blatant the UK government is in its dealings with Scottish interests. It doesn't listen, it doesn't cooperate, etc., etc. My Scottish Conservative and Unionist colleagues in this House and I bear the brunt of this kind of rhetoric in terms of the vile abuse we receive from fundamentalist nationalists. A Cabinet Secretary in the Scottish Government even called all of us traitors. Yes, a Cabinet Secretary said that. The truth, Madam Deputy Speaker, is a very long way away from this kind of barefaced politicking. It is this, and it needs to be said, and this SI illustrates it well. There is actually a very good working relationship between the SNP Scottish Government and the Scottish and the Conservative and Unionist UK Government. Privately, the Scottish Government's ministers get on with getting on with the UK Government. And while things can always be improved upon, and as members will know I have many ideas about how this might be done, the day-to-day business of cooperating and collaborating is going on largely insulated from the full rage and the grievance manufacturing of the SNP. I was talking to an SNP member the other day, someone I actually quite like and respect. And the member said something to the effect that we always disagree on everything. And I said, Madam Deputy Speaker, no, we actually agree on a lot of things a lot of the time. And that member said to me, whatever you do, don't tell my supporters in my constituency that. And that kind of sums up the SNP attitude for me. Yes, I'll give way to the...
I thank the honourable member for giving way. I would ask him how he's getting on and encouraging his right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Scotland, and ensuring that the ministers are rolling back on their cuts to onshore wind subsidies, which is obviously a crucial industry to Scotland and to his constituency.
Madam Deputy Speaker, to say something specifically about the importance of this sector, particularly from a Scottish economy point of view. But the important thing I'm trying to speak about at this moment is in relation to this SI, and it is this, that this SI brings about harmonisation. And harmonisation is something I am very much in favour of. I say up with that kind of thing, wherever it is possible. And it's nearly always, in spite of what you'd imagine from the listening to the noises from the SNP benches, the people of Scotland expect their two governments to work together for the common weal. And they want to see that partnering in action. And this SI is a good example of it. It might not go down well with the SNP fundamentalists in the conference hall, but the reality, I'm afraid, is not always the perception that people want to hold on to for the sake of stoking political prejudice. The second thing I'd like to mention in relation to this SI is how strategically important the offshore wind sector is in Scotland. And this SI facilitates it. Can I say how much I welcomed last month's announcement of the offshore wind sector deal? It spells out the industry's and the UK government's ambition to produce a third of British electricity from offshore wind by 2030. And what environmentalists in my constituency say in Stirling is they say this, that the UK government doesn't get enough credit for the work it's doing in terms of sustainable energy sources. Now, what this sector deal does is it states the ambition to make the UK a global leader in renewables, with more investment potential than any other country in the world, as a part of our modern industrial strategy. And it spells out the ambition of the offshore wind energy industry itself. Their investment of £250 million, including a new offshore wind growth partnership to develop the UK supply chain, as global exports are set to increase fivefold to £2.6 billion by 2030. That deal will mean, for the first time in our history, there will be more electricity generated from renewables than fossil fuels, with 70% of British electricity predicted to be from low-carbon sources by 2030, and over £40 million of infrastructure investment in the UK. And I am proud that Scotland is at the forefront of it all. The UK offshore energy sector, Madam Deputy Speaker, has massive potential. There is a significant appetite for new offshore wind energy, and investors are willing to put their money to work investing in Scotland. We need infrastructure, we need policies that allow development, and we need all levels of government, local, Scottish and UK-wide, to be fully seized of the opportunity and of the moment. The fact that this SI brings the different levels of government together to ensure a smooth process for applicants and a fair process for interested parties to be welcomed is to the credit of the UK Government and the Scottish Government, working together, because working together we can achieve great things for the people of Scotland. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, seeing this SI through is what this Government stands for ultimately, in terms of our attitude towards making the Union work for all of its people, and I welcome its passage through the House today.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.